Hey tubers, welcome back for another adventure. And what you're looking at is a barn find Honda ATC200ES 1984 vintage. Now the story on this is I bought it last fall, late summer, something like that. And I just never got to it. I mean, I noted back then that we had the Christmas package string there. I mean, it appears mostly complete. All good things. Fortunately, I also noticed that for whatever reason, it has no spark plug in it. So, as I'm collecting these things, bringing these home, my first thought is always do no harm. Luckily, I had it covered in such a way that the engine was covered, but even with that, it's been sitting all winter. I hope the motor didn't seize up. So let's check that first. So here we go. Get a little spritz of that. Chase any insects out perhaps. And now to turn it over. Oh, good. I hear huffing and puffing, so that's a good thing. You want to give it at least 2 full spins. That way you make sure nothing's clanging and banging, and that's all good. Next, if the plug's out and your rings are really bad, the water gets in. It'll go right by. Well, she needs oil, but I don't see the Milky Way going on there. That's a plus. So why no plug? I'm normally a better mechanic than that. So this is wild. The plug will not go in. It's like I keep trying and trying, and it won't spin in. It's like the hole is too small. So if you look closely, really closely at it, you can see somebody jammed a Heli coil in there, and they didn't do a very good job at that. So given that this plug doesn't fit, I went and I fetched up the 70cc version, and it slides right in and out. So looks like we got to start out with the Heli coil repair. It ain't pretty, but I'm getting it out. So I got their thread repair out, and to be quite honest with you, it just doesn't look like it fits. So I'm not quite sure what they did there. You could buy a kit, and that's what it looks like. Let's go for about 35-40 bucks. And if you open up the box, assuming you don't do it upside down and dump everything on the ground like I already did, come up with these fancy dancy instructions, and it looks like what you do is use their bit to drill the hole, then you use their tap to put threads in the hole, then you use their insert tool to spin this in, and notice this little tab, and notice that it's got a little cut on it. You kind of reach in there with your vice grip or your pliers or whatever, and you work that out gently. You really don't want to drop it into the motor. Forget the really don't want to. You do not want to drop this in the motor. But I have a little trick to show you to keep from doing that also. So it looks like they already have it drilled out. Still feels pretty tight. What I'm going to do is I'm going to chase those threads and hopefully things will be better. To grab the filings, you guys could see I put a piece of rope in there. I have the piston all the way up, top dead center. So hopefully as I chase the tap in, the furry end of the rope grabs as many of the filings as possible and keeps from ruining things. The right way to do it is really to pull the head off and drill it out properly and put the insert in, but I don't want to do that, so let's give this a shot. So it felt like it cut all the way in. I had to use a tool on the end of it for leverage. So, and you can see the filings in the fur down there. So hopefully I can take most of them out. It looks like the threads go in deep enough. So let's get that fur ball and the threads out of there, the loose metal, and hopefully the insert goes right in and life is good. You can see you just spin this puppy right in there. Not hard to do. And once the top bottoms out, you can hear it tightening up a little bit. And once the top bottoms out, we'll break that tab off. And hopefully the repair has been done. Oh, look at that. Is that not beautiful? Now I just got to reach in there and get that tab loose, and life will be better. So you guys could see the plug is in. By the way, that's how much filings I found, or I caught, in the furry thing. And much better to have these filings lying on the ground there than inside the motor. So this video is starting to get long, so I'm going to portable CDI box this thing, get a little oil into it, and see if we can't spin it over. I'm going to try to dig up another recoil starter too. This one doesn't look like it's going to last for more than 2 pulls. So I bolted up a recoil from the Horde. Here's what the compression sounds like. So nothing great. I'm gonna smash some oil into it, and hopefully that helps a little bit. Once again, I'm gonna use my portable CDI and a little starting fluid, see if we get anything out of this. Well, I'm beginning to get a bad feeling about this. I hooked up my portable CDI, so I know I got a spark. So there's not a problem with that. I sprayed starting fluid into it and shot a little gas into the carburetor. I'm not sure what kind of shape the carburetor's in, but there's like, you know, I'm not that crazy strong, and I'm right-handed, that's my left hand. Looks to me like I got no compression, so we got to go the next state. We got to check the valves to make sure they're not too tight, and boy, I think I got like somewhere near $400 into this machine, $500 into this machine, considering the tires do hold air, but they're kind of dry rotted, right? You guys could see those cracks there. The seat's nothing to brag about, right? I got a headlight, I got a couple of decent racks, I got a tail light there, but if this thing doesn't run at all, it wasn't a winner. I'm not saying it's a loser, I'm just saying it's not a winner. Anyway, let's continue troubleshooting. The compression seems light on this machine, and I put the jump pack to the starter and I get absolutely nothing. So I'm going to pull the starter off. We'll see what its problem is. Boy, this thing, for being an easy fix, seems to want a lot of love and attention. So here we go. Getting the starter off, easy enough, right? Make sure you used two wrenches on the terminal here. If not, you can spin the terminal inside the starter and damage where the coils hook up to it. On this side, you have to take the bracket off so that you have enough room to move it back to get it out. So, piece of cake. Takes a few minutes to undo the 5 bolts. Alright, here's the starter we just pulled out, and you can see it's seized, and this one spins. I don't know why, but I guess it's been 40 years. Any moisture that gets in here causes the armature to seize onto the armature seizes onto the field coils, the metal around that, I guess the stator. So anyway, to get these off, I recommend a little spray of something to loosen those up, a little penetrant. And then I tend to grab right there with a vice grip to break them loose. That way I don't chew up the Phillips heads. Once the bolts are out, a couple of tap takes it apart, and you guys could see it was rust seized. So we got to clean all of that up. Right, the tolerances are pretty tight, so as you're cleaning that up, you can use a wire brush or whatever your preference is. Don't mess the coils up, don't abrade the coils, and don't screw the brushes up. Right, looks like there's plenty of brush there. So anyway, clean up. To put it together, slide this in here and work the brushes back such that they're on here where they should be as you're sliding it all the way in. Then you just put the back cover on it. Be careful, there are spacers that you don't lose them. You don't have to take this bearing apart. I do recommend getting a little like graphite type oil in there. Use it for key locks. So I would recommend that. In the back, I also put a couple of drops of that graphite kind of oil. And that's that. Anyway, cleanup time. So the starter is back together, right? By the way, it's best to really mark these things before you take it apart. Luckily, I had another one to copy. That's one thing I want to mention. The second thing is this cover keys on to where the brushes go, so make sure you key all of that. Once again, if you mark it, line here, line there, scrape it, just scrape a little line in there. Not all that hard to do. And then just makes it a little quicker to put it together. You don't have to sit there and look for the alignment marks as closely. Anyway, I'm going to put the jump pack to this. Hopefully she spins round and round real nice. This is not the best way to treat a battery charger, but it is crazy hot out there. So round and round we go. I just gotta install it, and hopefully we turn this thing over and get a decent compression test out of it. So I got the starter installed, I got the jump box ready to power it up, got my portable CDI all hooked up properly, right? I got 11.8 volts, I got starting fluid, and I got a camera stand. Let's give it a couple of hoots, turn it over, see what happens. You should be able to see pretty good. So, CDI box on. Starter. Okay, a couple of things. First of all, you see that mist like being blown away from the carburetor? That means it's exhaling through the intake valve. Not a good thing. The second thing is, if it threw a spark, that's like a little bit boom boom. So be careful, eh? Not everything you should try at home. So I pulled the valve adjustment covers, and it's the intake, right? I spun it around to make sure the valve is closed. It's slightly tight. You can hear the exhaust is loose enough, but yeah, it's a little tight. I'm going to loosen that up a little bit. Hopefully that gives me enough compression to start. I loosened both valves up a little, and I guess you guys could hear that. I tend to run valves on these, the valve lash loose on these old machines. Everybody could do what they prefer and get them exactly within spec. I go by ear, and I go a little loose. I loosened up the intake and exhaust valves. It was still puffing starting fluid out the intake. So here's a quick compression test. And we didn't even make 30. So that's dry. Let's try wet. Okay, here comes wet. $60. Will she start? I don't know. Let's give it one more try. Okay, let's give this thing one last shot. Portable CDI box on. Engage starter. She kind of fired once, and that was that. So where are we with this machine? It has a halfway decent set of front forks, which is a plus. It's not all bent up and destroyed. It is missing a piece of fender, but I have a replacement for that. It's got somewhat of a seat, right? It's missing a lot of the front fender. Headlights there, dashboard's there. I bought basically a $500 parts bike to do the top end of the motor. The motor needs to come off, and it's getting into the land of major projects. So still worthwhile to do. This machine running and driving, cosmetically it's not perfect, but given that it's mostly there, you could probably turn $800-900 for it, something like that. So if one wanted to put the time and effort in, it's probably worth it. I'm gonna hold for now. Been hot as heck here, so when I pulled this out of the buckwheat, I was hoping for an easy project, and that's not at all what I got. But you know, you win some, you lose some, and whenever you buy these things, especially when you can't check the compression, when you can't pull the string and see anything, the recoil was messed up, the electric starter was messed up, and there was no spark plug in it. So I really couldn't do that before I purchased it. If I would have determined that the compression was super low, I would have pointed that out and probably saved $50 or $100. Such is life, eh? Got more projects coming, so keep on watching. I want to thank you guys for dropping by to watch and comment and subscribe. Please remember, feet down, heads up, and make sure you get out and enjoy each and every day. Bye now.